Welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and in this video, we're going to go back over video cards again because I think we have a better sense of maybe where the 9070 XT falls, and it's going to create potentially the most interesting competition in this next release of cards. And I just want to talk about it real quick. So the RTX 5080 and 5090, if you're on any kind of budget at all, if you're not willing to throw $1,400 at a video card at the bare minimum, go ahead and get those two cards out of your head. Just like the 5080, as I understand it, is going to be, the latest musings, 1199 to 13, maybe 1400 bucks. Okay. I'm still hopeful that they won't do that in a way, but I kind of have a sickening feeling that they are going to do that. And as a result, like, I'm just, whatever, right? Giant whatever. Nvidia, they should sell zero of those cards. Like a 5080, which is half. A 5080 is basically kind of around a 4090 in performance, and I get it. Nothing really is going to match a 4090. Even like if you've got a 4090, you made a interesting investment. If you bought one at its original retail price, which is so sad because that card is so damn expensive as well, right? They were 1,600 bucks when they debuted. If you got one in or around that price, it's still going to be a good card, I think, for a while yet. Nvidia is going to try to sell some sort of software DLSS 4 with the 50 series. I'm sure that will not be compatible with the 40 series. I am sure, because they're a software company now, and AI and all that stuff. So they're going to try to basically screw you over, you 4090 and 4080 owners. That you could totally run this new technology. I would be willing to wager, but they're not going to release it for you because they want you to fork over all the money. And I think it's stupid, but that's the world we live in. Okay, so if you're unwilling to save up to like 1,400 bucks on just a video card, you might as well get ready to ignore the 4080 and 5080 and 5090. Okay, just throw that out of your brain, because that's just not going to be a thing. So what does that leave if you cut those two out? If you have all the money, don't let me get in your way. If that's what is going to fulfill your wish and dreams, by all means, go ahead. I'm really excited, honestly, to see what sort of crazy benchmarks and things that people do with them. But I'm a little bit less excited because I just know, I'm not going to pay used car money or getting into that realm for a video card. Like, nobody should. Okay, I don't believe so. I think people will, and if they want to, they should. It's fine, But as a lesson in Nvidia, I just hope that nobody does. Just like, okay, cool. The reviewers will get one. We'll see. Oh, look, it does all the frames per second. Cool, and then everybody will turn around and buy probably one of the two video cards that I'm going to talk about now, which is the 9070 and the 5070 Ti. So I think the 9070 XT is going to be a little bit faster than I thought originally. They're claiming here that this card, in this leaker, this is kind of a known leaker. I don't know if he's got a source on the inside or what it is, but he's sort of known. Still, pinch of salt and all this is all rumor mill until, I guess, January 7th or whenever CES starts. So maybe not next week, but the week after, kind of. If this is true, though, so if some versions have reached 330 watts, and the kind of the most optimal is about the 260 watt range, and then you could go total board power up to the 330 watt range, and then get that past 3 gigahertz clock speed on a GPU. That could be enticing. Like, that could actually get it to where it could deliver that beating to the 5070 and get it closer to the 5070 Ti, where I think the price range of the $500 or $600 makes more sense. Because from a competition standpoint, the 5070 Ti is probably going to be performance-wise around a 4080, and it's probably going to cost $800 is my guess. It's going to be 700 at least, but probably $800, maybe more. I mean, if they think they can do it, they may charge $1,000 for the 5070 Ti. I think it would be totally dead on arrival. I think everybody would laugh at it and just not buy it at that price, I would hope. But considering how expensive the 5080 is, I just can't, if the 5070 Ti is closer to, say, a 4080 Super, not just the 4080, then I could see that, right? But I think it's going to be basically about a 4080, and cheaper is kind of what I think. Because realistically, I mean, that's already a lot of performance for a video card. What I think the difference is going to be is, is the ray tracing and that kind of stuff going to be on par with the previous generation, or is it going to be way better? Like I said, I'm confident they're going to come out with DLSS 4 and say, well, if you want this new whiz-bang software, you got to get the new version, the new GPUs, which I think is total crap. It's another reason why I'm skipping Nvidia, and I'll probably buy an AMD video card. I'm kind of eyeing this 9070 as a potential upgrade from a 3080. Maybe. We got to see some benchmarks and see sort of how it works first, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. So as high as 330 watts, if we do kind of a comparison of sort of specs, which again, I want to be very careful with this. You cannot do a one-to-one comparison because the cores on these GPUs are different. They're not the same thing, okay? If I scroll down here, 4096 Navi cores does not equal 8960 CUDA cores, okay? They're kind of similar, but they're not, all right? It's different. So looking down the spec sheet, there are some things that are a little bit scary. Where I think the performance falls is, so you have 5% within a 4080, which is good, if the 5070 Ti is basically a 4080, okay? 4080 Super and 4080 are almost exactly identical, but if it's 5% of if it's within 5% of this, like that's within margin of error almost. So if the price is cheaper for the 9070 XT than the 5070 Ti, the software suite isn't that big of a deal. If it's close, then I mean, yeah, I'm hoping that people will take a look at this and go, yeah, we'll save our money and get this. There are a couple things though that give me a little pause. One is the bandwidth is just so different. The 5070 Ti has a lot more bandwidth. It's going to be using GDDR7 instead of 6. And so it makes me wonder, is that going to play a factor in performance? Because it's moving 28 gigabits per second with the memory modules versus 20. The thing we don't know is the cache, right? So the AMD cards have onboard cache that they basically said, we're going to make up for our bandwidth by getting some cache. And so if there's a lot of that could make a difference. And again, if it's 5% of a 4080, that's impressive. But this is a leak again. So we don't know. We don't know if a 260 watt version of the card gets within that technically, or if it's the 330 watt, right? That's the that's kind of the question I have, or like, how does that work exactly? So we don't know that. But the whole thing, whether this RX 9070 XT is worth it at all will be how much does it cost? Again, that's always number one, versus a 5070 or a 5070 Ti. If it falls in the middle of these two, and it costs in the middle of these two, some people may opt for this, but it's really got to be performance-wise closer to the 5070 Ti if it's going to be priced like that. If it's not, then it may be like, whatever. I'm really disappointed that the 5070 only has 12 gigs of GDDR7. I think they totally should have given it 16. Nvidia is just really being stingy with the memory. I think 16 gigs is a decent amount for now. I don't see anything saturating that VRAM anytime soon, hopefully. 16 is not bad. I think GPU prices are just going to be out of control because there's nothing to compete with those top-end NVIDIA cards. There's not even the 7900 XTX really to compete with the, like mid-range, well, not mid-range. What would you call the 4080? Upper end enthusiast, I guess. And then ultra enthusiast would be like your 4090 right now. And I think the same story will play into what's going to happen with the 5080 and 5090, just doubling down even harder into that. NVIDIA is already trying to paint the 5080 and 5090 as professional, like professional graphics. And man, it's just such a sad state of affairs. It's ridiculous. So anyway, but looking by the power and the, your clock speed boils down to, this is a smaller chip. Okay. The RX 9070 XT is die-wise, I think it's smaller than the competitors. So getting the price down shouldn't be a problem. But performance, I'm a little bit worried about the memory bandwidth. Looks a little bit suspect. But if the claims are true, if it can get close to the 4080, then it will fall right up against the 5070 Ti. It'll be faster decidedly than the 5070, and then it comes down to price. That's rumor mill that's what's the picture is now painting. I kind of thought from the last rumor that it was going to be a little bit closer to the 5070, but with this, they're saying, yep, nope, it's actually going to be close to the 4080 like we thought kind of more all along. And so, yeah, it just depends on, again, price and if these rumor mill things are actually true. So, anyway, so there you go. I thought I'd bring that to you, just interesting update. We got a little bit more details, too, on the 5070 Ti specs. It'll be 300-watt card versus basically 300-watt card. So power-wise are about the same. So you're going to get an idea of between clock speed and architecture, how this plays out, right? Again, we'll see January, I want to say 7th or so, when CES starts. NVIDIA is going to have their keynote. Right at that time, like all of the information will probably come out online. And then at that point, we'll kind of know more. AMD is not going to sit quiet on that. They're going to release their stuff. They'll release their CPUs as well, the 12 and 16 core Vcache 9000 series, as well as the FSR4. So, NVIDIA will say we have DLSS 4, and AMD will quickly release FSR4. AMD is just trying to copy NVIDIA with all their naming and marketing. They're like, well, it's working for NVIDIA. We'll just do the same thing, apparently. It's so, oh, God. Anyway, I hate that, but that's the way it is. All right, guys. Well, listen. Leave a like if you would. Leave a subscribe, maybe. There'll be more coming. I am getting ready. I've got a bunch of fans and stuff. I really want to give a try to these. What are these? Superflower Mega Cool. These are 140s, and I've got 120s. And I'm thinking about rearranging the cooling inside this Fractal North I got over here. and installing some of these and seeing how that works. You know, can I get some better cooling at lower noise ranges? If I go all out, you know, can I get some better cooling? I do think I will. These fans look way more burly and high quality. They're 30 mil thick fans, number one, and they have they're made of the fancy plastic to reduce any kind of warping. They're extremely rigid. I can just feel by kind of pressing on there. So I'm kind of interested. The CFM is very high for these, but obviously, you know, if you run a very high CFM, they'll get loud. So that's kind of part of the trade-off, as always. Anyway, all right, guys. That's it. Look forward to seeing you all in the next video, and we'll talk to you then.